Hey guys, back again with our annual start of year update video. Um, Doing things a little differently this year. Actually recording this in about mid January, just mainly because with how hectic things have kind of gotten. I'm not entirely sure when exactly I might have the next opportunity to record one of these videos, so I wanted to make sure I got this recorded and ready just in case. As I've said now a couple times, I think the last couple update vlogs, we got the house. I believe in the last vlog I did, showed the space that's going to be the replacement to what we've got here. So I wanted to give a little bit of an update on what's going on there, and also just want to talk about what we can kind of expect next few months, and obviously a little later into the year. So first off, as of right now, time of recording, I have enough videos uploaded, totally done, to get us through to the end of May. Now, in terms of videos that I've recorded but haven't edited yet or uploaded, I've got enough to get us through end of June. Now, because of how this July, scheduling wise, is going to run, at the moment I don't plan to have any review videos coming out. It's just how the schedule happened to work this year. I do currently still have planned to come back to San Diego for Comic-Con, but right now, just I don't want to make any hard set plans for that, simply due to the fact that there's enough things that could happen between now and then, and even just getting back, something could happen that totally screws the whole plan up. So that's also one reason why I haven't gotten a hotel yet, just because I want to make sure I'm not going to hit some sort of issue, because Comic Con actually released some hotels, but you've got to prepay and you're locked in. So it's one of those, I think I'll just hold off, wait for the general sale. Still waiting to hear back from my sister and her husband to find out, hey, maybe they want to split our hotel room, save on costs, anything like that. Beyond that, though, obviously with this move happening, I'm not sure when I might be able to record some more videos. At the very least, right now, the earliest would probably be the first week or two of February when I'll be able to, record. And I'm debating if I will or not. I'm leaning towards doing it just mainly because my gut is telling me it might be a good idea just to get a couple more videos recorded, if for no other reason, just to make sure we're covered. At this time, we're just, and this is, mind you, assuming there aren't any issues with getting materials and all that, because there are some stuff we're going to do, and I'll go into that a little later in the video. We're hoping to finish this move sometime, say, mid-April. This should hopefully allow plenty of time for me to get settled into any type of new job that I'm going to be working. Hopefully, well, I should by that point have my instructor rating and be doing that. But give me time to settle into that, as well as just time to actually get any videos recorded. Obviously, just with how supply chains have been the last couple of years, it's entirely possible some of this stuff gets totally screwed up, and we could even be still here out into June. I really don't know at this point. There's just a lot of stuff that could happen. I'm going to touch on one thing though. Going to this, I knew there were going to be some decisions to be made. How we're finishes, all that. I was not shocked. I was shocked at just. I got overwhelmed, I guess is probably one way to put it. I mean, just the number of choices, finding the right thing, and making sure thing A goes with thing B, and I got overwhelmed for a good week or two, just going through stores and looking at different finishes, different styles, and even then, I'll openly admit, there's still some stuff we thought we were kind of set, but now after going through another store, found some nicer stuff and it's thrown everything for a loop. On top of that, obviously having to commute back and forth between the new house. Thus far, since the start of the year, we've gone back twice now. And yeah, it takes time, unfortunately. On top of that, this last time, as we spent some time pulling up carpet, I'll go into a little more detail in a bit. I managed to re-screw up my bad knee, so I was basically hobbling through airports on the way home. So, yeah, for anyone who's looking at buying a home next year or two, even if you're going with a new home, have fun trying to figure out what all you want to do, as it's going to be one of those headaches. Granted, in some ways it's a good headache, but it's just going to be, you're going to get overwhelmed pretty quick and hit that point of, oh dear God, what have we done? So that's sort of where we are there. Like I said, since I don't know when exactly this move's going to happen, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get into some of these bigger projects that I want to do. In fact, at the moment, I still have some kits out, and this is where I think, if I do need to do some more videos, I can, fortunately. The one benefit of slowly packing stuff up over the last couple of years is you're still finding stuff you had that got buried by other stuff, and it takes time to pack, and you never really realize how much stuff you've got until you gotta pack it all up. So at the moment, one thing that I did finally get over this last Black Friday and Christmas as sort of a present to myself, I finally got a 3D printer. I actually went with the Elegoo Saturn II. I've done a couple of prints. Here's the little, I don't know if the camera will focus. Come on. Just a little test workpiece. And this isn't using 8K resin, and just using the basic normal resin, and I'm very pleased with the detail that thing is capable of doing. I'm right now working on a little, just sort of, keep my sanity, keep my skills up project that I'm planning to do a little bit of an underwater scene. Nothing over complex. It's mainly just allow me to figure out some of the nuances of 3D printing, some of the things that you got to learn, some of the nuances, all that, and also first time doing a deep bore and do a full underwater type of scene. I have a bigger project that I'd like to do like that. But I want to take some time, do some of these smaller little projects, learn some things you got to learn that with doing those types of diorama type deals. So that's sort of where we are with that. I'll probably be, a day or two throwing some photos up on Instagram to sort of show where I am with that, sort of what my idea is for the scene, and yeah, I'll just give an idea and light update. But this is also just a type of project I've wanted to do for a while. I mean, there's a lot of great videos of these type of dioramas on YouTube, and it's one I've just personally wanted to do for a while. And since I got the 3D printer and need to learn how to use it, I thought, hey, perfect overlap. So that's right now the current project there. I will say this, probably later this year sometime, probably going to do a little bit of a video. I guess it's almost like a 10 tips type of video that I've learned from playing around with it. Granted, this will be probably late in the year when I do this, just time-wise, it will work out then. Plus, it gives me more time to, play with it, learn the slicing software, and just get some of the nuances and, teething problems that come with this type of modeling. But overall, I mean, I'm very happy. I can see a lot of potential, a lot of things I can do with it. It's just right now a matter of learning the software and just learning some of the intricacies of 3D printing. How to do supports, how to not have reduce the rates of failure, best angles to print pieces at, so on and so forth, things like that nature. So definitely a fun thing that I'm looking forward to sharing down the road later this year. So as I alluded to earlier, so now let's talk a little bit of the houses. This may end up being a segment I end up doing, as somewhat regular updates. We'll see what happens. Probably also going to overlay photos somewhere. I'm not quite sure where, but that's a problem for editor me down a little later. So, first off, one major project we're going to be doing, and aside from doing flooring, which this past trip we spent pulling up carpet. That's actually how I ended up hurting my knee. One of those, you don't know how you hurt it, but you hurt it. But we got carpet up. We are planning to replace it. This is one of the areas where we have definitely figured out what we want to go with. We're going to do majority of the house in engineered hardwood. We're going to do the guest bedroom as sort of a test case sample to figure out, okay, how difficult is this realistically to do ourselves? Because at least here in California, I don't know in Florida, installation costs is stupid. At the flooring store I was at, I got quoted it was like $10 to $15 a square foot for engineered and vinyl and all that. And Dory decided against this, mainly just because, it would be a lot more expensive to go with real hardwood. But that's like $30 a square. Granted, you've got to find somebody who knows what they're doing to install it. So that's some of the costs there. But yeah, that is ridiculous. So we're going to try to do as much as we can ourselves just because it's a way to save cost. So we figure it's a smaller bedroom that's going to be used as a guest room. It'd be a good case sample for us just to figure out, okay, can we actually do this? And are we actually going to need somebody to install it for us? So most of it's going to be the engineered hardwood. We have a pretty good idea of what color we want to go with, because thankfully the house still has all the wood trim, which is one of the selling points we really liked about the house. And that's sort of where we're at there. Up until a few days ago, was pretty set on some stuff from, I want to say, Lowe's, as it was right color. It was on the decent side. I had a price point, and plus, I know my sister and her husband had recently redone some of their flooring with similar stuff, and it worked great. They've been happy with it. It's been really, pet friendly and all of that. So, and plus they did it all themselves, so it looked good. Seemed like, okay, this would work. Though after going to the flooring store, found some nicer engineered hardware that's sort of thrown the calculus off. So, still set on color and more or less engineered hardware because it's going to be the overall best in terms of cost point and ease of individual of us installing it. We all are also at least we're still discussing this, but I'd like to do the entryway into the kitchen and one of the hallways in porcelain tile. As obviously for the kitchen, you're gonna have stuff spilt and all that. Only issue there would be it's not as impact resistant as some of the other materials, but it's at the same time the lowest maintenance, so it's a trade-off. But that's one of those things we're still discussing and figuring out color and all that, so we're still kind of blank slate there. Now, the master bedroom. This room is huge, and you'll see in the photo. It's probably, I would say, 30 feet from the back wall, which is actually the back of the house, to the front of the house, which is the extending wall for this room. Well, before this last trip, we were, expecting, okay, we're probably going to have to put in a header, do all that. However, when we were pulling up the carpet, we found out it was actually originally two separate rooms, because we found the footings for where the original wall was. So after talking to the previous owner, found out, yeah, it was actually two separate rooms, a living room and master. So what this means for us, there's probably a header already in the wall that they just basically sealed it up and put in a little bit of a closet. So that means that's going to save us a boatload of money, because of the price of lumber in the last few years has exploded. So that was a very, very pleasant find. That's going to save us a lot of money. But with this master, we're not going to put the wall back where it was originally. We're going to put it further back and just have a smaller living room, because we don't really need a big living room. And it's just going to be wider than it is deep. And this will allow the master to have a logical place for the bed, and then have a nice little seating area that I'm going to sort of build out as a little bit of a reading area, library type area. Plus, given that it opens up onto the back patio and the pool, so it works out there. As for the master bath and the little area there, we got to figure some stuff out. One thing we are planning to do, because all the bathrooms have bidets, we're planning to just get rid of those. Obviously, it does mean redoing some tile work probably, and just that's something we'll have to deal with. Though that can probably be a down the road type of project, just because it's not something we've got to really do before we move in. We can make do. So, as for the other two bedrooms in the house, well, 3 bedrooms technically. Actually, not technically, it is 3 bedrooms. Aside from obviously the flooring, 2 of them we're just going to paint, as there's nothing really there. For the room that's going to be my workspace, what I want to do, aside from obviously painting, I'd like to put like a chair rail in with some beadboarding going around, because that to me just looks classy. It's one of those classic den type of looks, and it's just something I want. Plus it's a project that we can probably do ourselves as well. So it's just a matter of getting boards, line them against the wall, measuring it out, cutting any cuts we need to make, and then nailing them to the wall. So that should be a fairly simple and easy project. And then obviously painting, it's not that big a deal. I have a couple ideas there. In fact, planning this whenever I do head back again. Put the paint samples, probably tape them up to the wall, check them at a couple different times a day, narrow it down, then get a couple of paint samples, and put paint samples on each of the walls, and wait for them to dry, see how they look, and pick a final color. Now, this is where we have another fairly decent project, and that is this other bath. This other bath is massive. I mean, it's almost big enough to be another bedroom all by itself. So right now, our plan is we're going to probably end up splitting it and turning half of it onto an ensuite for the other bedroom, not the one that's going to be my work area, but the one that my mother's going to use for now, and then make the other section into just a little smaller bath for the my workspace, since it is technically a bedroom, so it will need bath access. We're also planning to probably take some of the space and possibly add it to the pantry, which is against that bathroom along that wall, which in the photo has the what looks like a little linen closet there. Now, as for the kitchen, this is another more major project that we're wanting to get done before moving. Obviously, appliances are going to need updating because they're 30 some odd years old, and obviously redo cabinetry, redo the countertops. Now, one thing my mother is pushing for is do an island. I'm still not 100% sold on the island idea. Personally, I prefer peninsulas, but this is one of those. Do I want to put up the fight on that? To me, it's not something super worth fighting over. But one thing I do agree with her on is using part of the area that's on the wall with that bathroom, turning that into a little bit of almost like a wet. I don't think it'll be a wet bar, but maybe like a coffee bar, have a coffee machine there, maybe like a wine fridge, what have you, and some additional cabinets for storage, and do something there. Think next trip, because we pulled down some of the wallpaper that's in the house, might just block it out, give it a more visual idea of what it's going to look like. As never hurts just to measure, see how it will look, how the flow is going to be, and all that. Now, one area we are still kind of debating on is, do we want to put the fridge on that wall, or do we want to put some ovens on that wall? That's where we're debating. I think we're leaning to put the ovens there. I gotta double check. But that's sort of where we're at there. I do think we're also just, and this is something we got to find out because we may need to move the HVAC, is because at the moment, and you can't see it in the photo, there's an feed vent for the HVAC system, which is in the laundry room. We got to find out what we can and can't do with that thing there. Best case scenario, we can just box out that wall, and it just has to be open to the pantry, and also just wouldn't be able to put anything in front of it. More ideal, but probably more costly, would be finding out if we can move that HVAC unit to the garage. That's something we'll probably need to find out this next trip. I'm personally not going back, as I got to get lesson plans done, because I'd like to try to get as much of this done, ideally early March timeframe, to have my instructor rating. That way, depending on where we're at with this move, I can see about maybe getting some part-time work at my school, doing, biannuals and things of that sort, and just, working odd flying jobs there. Really just anything to get hours. But alternatively, if we have made the move, I'll have my instructor rating, I'll be, ready and able to start, teaching, and do that while I work on getting double I. Because I figured definitely get the double I, just because, being able to teach instruments is going to open up greater opportunities. Maybe not so much as being the multi-instructor, just because I don't think, time-wise it's going to, make sense to go through the effort. So, who knows? We'll see what happens. But I digress. So, obviously, if we can move the HVAC and it's not overly expensive, that would be best case scenario. As that gets that out of there, could redo some stuff in the laundry room. We're not 100% sure what we're going to do there yet. That's another item we gotta do some discussing on. It's also something we could put off. Now, a big project that we do eventually, and this is a big eventually, want to do, is add another garage area. Big reason we're not doing this, it's going to depend on, one, what type of pruning we got to do with the city to add another entry on the road, or alternatively, where the property line is, so that we would theoretically route it from where the existing driveway is to this other garage. Now, with this other garage, what I'd like to do is ideally would be at least 1.5 deep, preferably 2.5 deep. This way, you can obviously park cars and whatnot, but it would also, at least for me, allow me to have like a workshop space, and more easily put in stuff like woodworking tools and that sort of equipment. But this is the big thing. It would actually end up being 2 stories, with the second story being basically a studio type of setup, almost like a studio apartment. This would obviously be a big boon for resale value down the road, whenever we should decide to sell it. Or let's say, after my mother moves out and I'm looking at getting a potentially bigger, better space, or even building a place, just because it's so much easier to do that in Florida than it is here in California. Possibly subletting it. I don't know. It's one of those things that it affords a lot of opportunity that would be a much big boom to the resale value and overall value of the house. But obviously, that would be a major expense. Most likely, probably about $50,000 to do it and do it right. So at this point, that's something we're not going to do. That's going to be probably, a good 5 years at least down the road, if not 10. It's going it's going to depend on a number of things, how things play out, and all that. So it's one thing, I thought maybe we'd be able to do before we moved, but yeah, more we thought about just no, it's not going to work. So that's where we are with the house. Obviously, sooner we can get this move done, sooner we can start talking, more projects that we haven't been able to do. Biggest project I want to do this year is get back to streaming. That is on my to-do list, top of the list. As soon as we're able to, get there, get my setup reset up, I want to get back to streaming. Part of me is annoyed at myself for breaking down my streaming setup when I did back in 2019, but at the time we thought we'd be moving in 2020. Obviously, world decided against that. So right now, that's going to be the major thing I want to get done once this move is done. I'm hopeful, because I do plan on reconfiguring, and this will be in future videos. We'll discuss it, and hell, I may even stream it. I don't know at this point, but excuse me. I do plan to get back to stream. That is going to be the main focus once this move's complete. Getting that set up again, so that we can get back to that. Other major project, and this is going to be a little more time sensitive, I want to finish up that Stearman full build series. It's been on the back burner for a year or two, and it's gotten sidelined. At this point, I don't know if I will do the other ones. I still haven't decided. The next one, I might try changing up the formatting and styling a little, just to see if that works. In part, nothing else, just to make sure I can actually get it out. But big one would be just getting that Stearman done, if nothing else. It's last I checked, I believe it was just painting, getting the base done, and yeah. So that's those project. More nebulous project. Do want to try and learn Blender as best I can without taking a course. As with 3D printer, eventually I'd like to maybe even just as a sort of side gig, start making my own aftermarket parts. That would be a longer term goal type thing. As before I would, make that jump, I'd want to, sort of figure out, obviously, best practices for 3D printing, figure out software so that I can make some interesting designs, as well as just some, basic, designs that everyone can use. And by that I mean your basic verniers, basic inlets, things that are common that everyone uses and needs in varying sizes, both for REM kits and for just adding extra detail to them, and for custom jobs. So that's what I want to do with that 3D printer. That was part of the reason I got it. Even longer term, and this is going to take a lot more learning, would love to be able to make my own figure kits. That would be longest term goal with that. But that I open and admit, that's a long ways off. A long ways off. Do have a few ideas for some practicing on some stuff there, but obviously that's going to take a lot more than I can give right now. So that would be like 5-10 years, another one of these 5-10 year type projects. But as far as anything else going on this year, obviously with this mood happening and the time of it, more than likely I'm not going to be able to do IPMS San Diego or OrangeCon. Very likely not going to be able to do SCGMC either. One thing I am going to need to start looking at is, what shows are there in Florida, and further out, what's over that way. What could I potentially get to within a few hours, either driving or, at a worst case, hour or less flight. Or, even if I, rent a plane for the day and just eat that cost and part also just to build some time. So that's where we are there. Like I said, this is going to be an interesting year just because of all that's going to be happening. And yeah, it should, if nothing else, be interesting. So, thank you guys for sticking around. I know this is a bit of a longer video than these normally have been, but I did want to share what's going on, keep you guys in the loop. And yeah, I do thank you guys for the support you guys give. As I said, big thing is I want to get back to streaming. It's something I do enjoy doing. And we'll see what happens this year. So, obviously, don't know when I'll be able to do another one of these videos exactly, but when it happens, it'll happen. So, until next time.